Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into an absolute masterclass, covering the top desktop support interview questions and answers. Whether you're prepping for a massive step-by-step Windows 11 rollout, or you're just looking to completely nail your next IT opportunity, this explainer is built to systematically upgrade your toolkit. We aren't just going to list off technical trivia. We're going to break down the actual troubleshooting logic that hiring managers are literally desperate to see.
So picture this high-pressure scenario. The CEO is standing right over your shoulder, tapping their foot, and the machine just flat out refuses to boot. What do? Well, IT interviews love to throw these kinds of curveballs at you because they test your logic under pressure just as much as your tech knowledge. They want to know, do you panic or do you rely on a rock-solid step-by-step methodology? Stick with me because over the next few minutes, we're going to build that exact methodology together.
Here's our game plan. We'll start with core networking and OS, move into hardware and storage basics, dive deep into essential troubleshooting, shift gears to security and administration, and wrap up with user support.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Core Networking and OS.
If an interviewer asks you for DNS explained for beginners or wants you to contrast DHCP with a static IP address, you need a crisp, confident answer. Think of DNS, or the domain name system, as the Internet's phone book. It simply translates a human-friendly name like Google.com into a machine-friendly IP address. DHCP, on the other hand, is like the automated seating chart for devices on your network. It automatically hands out those IP addresses so you don't have to go around configuring every single device manually.
So, what happens when the interviewer asks, how do you resolve an IP conflict? The absolute crucial point here is to show you don't just guess. You follow structured steps. Step 1, you use the command line to run ipconfig/release and then /renew to grab a fresh address. If that doesn't fix it, Step 2 is checking for a static IP conflict. Did someone manually type in an IP that the DHCP server is trying to hand out? And finally, Step 3, you check the DHCP server itself to restart it or exclude that problematic IP. It's methodical, it's logical, and it's exactly what they want to hear.
Moving on to Section 2, Hardware and Storage Basics.
You'll definitely get asked to explain the difference between an HDD and an SSD. The traditional hard disk drive uses spinning disks and mechanical arms. Because it has physical moving parts, it's inherently slower, though it does remain cheaper for massive storage capacity. Now contrast that with a solid-state drive, or SSD. These use flash memory, which means zero moving parts. That translates to lightning-fast read and write speeds and way higher reliability, even though it's more expensive per gigabyte. Highlighting that physical versus flash memory difference is key.
Another classic comparison is the FAT32 versus NTFS file systems. FAT32 is an older standard. You'll want to point out its biggest limitation, a maximum 4 GB file size limit. Plus, it completely lacks built-in security. Now NTFS, that's the modern enterprise standard for Windows environments. And why? Well, look at the sheer scale difference. It supports file sizes up to an astronomical 16 exabytes. More importantly, it brings enterprise essentials like file-level permissions, EFS encryption, compression, and journaling to prevent data corruption.
Let's tackle Section 3, Essential Troubleshooting Steps.
Okay, here's a classic networking curveball. The user says, I have no internet, but your initial test shows they can actually ping the local gateway router. This immediately tells you their local physical network connection is totally fine. So where do you go from here?
First, you suspect DNS, because they can reach the router but not the wider web. Step 1 and 2, you check the DNS settings and flush the DNS cache using ipconfig/flush DNS. If that doesn't work, Step 3 is trying an alternate reliable DNS like Google's 8.8.8.8. Still broken? You move to Step 4, verifying proxy settings or doing a WinSock reset to completely clear the network stack. Finally, Step 5, you check if a firewall or antivirus is silently blocking outbound traffic. Notice what we did there? We isolated the issue step by step instead of just rebooting blindly.
Now, let's bring back our hook question. How do you troubleshoot a PC that won't boot? The interviewer is looking directly at you. The pressure is on. How do you respond?
You hit them with this beautiful, logical escalation path. First, you start simple. Check the physical power supply and hardware connections. Is it even plugged in? Next, you listen for beep codes or check motherboard diagnostic lights before the OS even attempts to load. If it posts but won't load Windows, Step 3 is trying to boot into safe mode. If that fails, Step 4 is using Windows Startup Repair or command line boot rec tools.
If you manage to get in, step 5 is checking the event viewer logs and running system file checkers like SFC or DISM. And finally, step 6, testing the actual hardware like RAM and storage with diagnostic tools. See? You start physical, move to the OS, and end with deep diagnostics.
Ah, the dreaded blue screen of death. When an interviewer asks this, they're setting the stage to see if you're an amateur who just forces a restart and hopes for the best, or a true professional who actually analyzes the crash.
For a true pro-level answer, you tell them that first, you absolutely must note the specific error code, something like IRQL not less or equal. Next, explain that you would analyze the mini-dump files using tools like Blue Screen View or WinDBG to pinpoint the exact driver or module that caused the crash. From there, remediation usually means updating the offending drivers, checking the hardware for thermal overheating, running hardware diagnostics, and maybe updating the BIOS if there's a known compatibility issue. Dropping a mention of mini-dump analysis instantly elevates your answer.
Let's shift over to Section 4, Security and Administration.
You really can't interview for an IT role without understanding Active Directory fundamentals. It's Microsoft's directory service, sure, but why does it actually matter? Because it's the beating heart of centralized management in a Windows domain. It's exactly how you handle Active Directory user creation, manage routine password resets, deploy software, or enforce security rules via group policy seamlessly across thousands of machines. It's an absolutely essential, foundational skill.
When they ask, how do you secure company laptops, you want to be able to fire off a comprehensive list. Start with data at rest, BitLocker encryption, then access, strong password policies, and restricting local admin rights so users can't accidentally install malware. Next is active defense, endpoint protection, and mentioning EDR here is a huge bonus, along with firewalls and regular OS patching. Finally, mention remote wipe capabilities using tools like Microsoft Intune or SCCM, just in case the device gets lost or stolen. This shows you view security holistically, not just as a checklist.
And finally, Section 5, User Support and Prioritization.
How do you prioritize multiple support tickets? Now, this is a crucial managerial question. If your answer is, I just answer them in the exact order they arrive, you're probably going to fail the interview. They need to see that you understand actual business impact.
You prioritize based on business impact, not a simple first-come, first-served basis. Step 1 is always addressing complete network outages or VIP users. Why? Because if the CEO's laptop won't boot, business decisions literally come to a halt. Step 2 is high-priority issues that affect multiple users or critical business functions. Step 3 covers those low-priority, routine requests, like a printer mapping issue for a single user. And you should always mention that you track this workflow meticulously to demonstrate real-time ServiceNow ticket handling. It proves you understand how to protect the business's bottom line.
Inevitably, you're going to be asked about dealing with a difficult user. Say a user is completely furious because their laptop is running incredibly slow. Try this approach. I calmly listened, which shows immediate de-escalation. I explained the issue, showing you don't talk down to them. Maybe it was just high CPU usage from startup programs. I cleaned it up and showed them how to maintain it. By offering patience and a little bit of training, you can literally turn a frustrated user into an appreciative, self-sufficient colleague.
Before we completely wrap up, I want to challenge you with a quick, practical lab exercise right now. Let's lock in what you've learned. Pause this explainer, open up your command prompt in Windows, and type in ipconfig/flush DNS. Then hit Enter. Take a look at what the output looks like. Getting your hands on the keyboard is simply the fastest way to turn these theoretical interview answers into second-nature technical skills.
Wow, we have covered a massive amount of ground today, all the way from DNS and DHCP to analyzing a blue screen of death and prioritizing those ServiceNow tickets. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which of these structured troubleshooting steps will you apply to your very next support ticket? Don't just give answers in your next interview. Show them your methodology. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.